Okay, so I've gotten a couple questions on this particular assignment, so I'm going to walk through a few examples. If I'm looking at our website, this is our Schoology page, of course. So I'm in the Algebra 2 class. I'm still in the Part 1 section of Unit 1, and I'm looking at lesson number 4. So here we are in the multi-step inequality section, and we're looking at practice number 1. So that's what we're working on in this video. Notice I've labeled it this way: Unit 1, Part 1, Lesson 4, Practice 1, and I also included the name of the video here. I think that would be a fine way to label your work if you're asking for help and clarification and sending me pictures of your work so that you can get that help. So let's take a look at problem number 1 here. Using inequalities, whoops, skipped ahead there. This is the one we're on, practice multi-step linear inequalities. So here's my first example. Reduce any fractions to lowest terms, the instructions say. Don't round your answer and don't use mixed fractions. So 64n minus 6 is greater than or equal to 36n minus 16. I like to double check to make sure that I wrote the problem down correctly. So 64n minus 6, 64n minus 6 greater than 36n minus 16, greater than or equal to 36n minus 16. Okay, good. We do have the equals to sign. All right, so the objective, of course, is to isolate your variables on one side of the inequality and then any numbers on the other. I'm going to subtract 36n from both sides of the equation. This way our n values move to the left. I should say of the inequality, not equation. But this way our n values move to the left, and 64 minus 36 is 28n. Now this can be done with mental math or a calculator. I'm not picky in this case. We will also add 6 to both sides of the inequality so that the numeric values end up on the right-hand side of the inequality. And the 6's will cancel on the left. On the right we have negative 16 plus 6, which is negative 10. To isolate the n value from now, or at this point now, we will divide both sides by 28, since that's the opposite of the multiplication that's occurring right now. That'll make the 28 disappear on the left side, and we're now left with a fraction on the right. N must be greater than or equal to negative 10 over 28. Now I notice that this fraction has a numerator and denominator that can both be divided by some value, and I spot the number 2 that can divide both. And since they both can be divided, we must divide them in order to reduce this to lowest terms. Negative 10 divided by 2 is negative 5, and 28 divided by 2 is 14. So I'm pretty happy with this answer. The fraction can't be reduced any further. It's not a mixed number, and we've isolated the n value. So again, I'm pretty happy with this result. Now we need to take the time and enter it into the Khan Academy site. Now I'm using a tablet computer here, so I have a keyboard that pops up on the screen. I'm not sure if you can see that, but I'm going to type n, and I'll use the buttons on the Khan website to give me the greater than or equal to and the fraction value. We want negative 5 over 14. Now again, my computer that I'm recording this video with is a touch screen, so I'm having to navigate back and forth between a couple different on-screen keyboards. If you're doing this with your phone, I believe the numerical keyboard automatically pops up. If you're going to do this on your computer, well, of course, you can use the keyboard itself to type in your results. So again, I'm pretty satisfied with this answer. I'm confident I've done the work correctly so far. So when we press check, we get the notification that we're in good shape. So let's try another one, and this time I'm going to point something out to you that you've got to be careful of when working on your own. If you're not careful, or if you're not actively considering which side of the inequality to place your variables, you might end up in a situation like this. So let's do the same thing we did the last time and try to move our variable to the left side of the inequality. To do so, we'll subtract 26p from both sides of the inequality, and that'll make them cancel on the right-hand side. And that leaves us with negative 33p on the left. Simultaneously, I'll add 4 to both sides of the inequality. That'll make that disappear from the left side of the inequality. And negative 94 plus 4 is negative 90. Now here's where you have to be particularly careful. Of course, to isolate the p-value, we will divide both sides by negative 33, and this does create a fraction, and that's not what I'm nervous about. But what I am nervous about is dividing by a negative number. Anytime we divide by a negative number or multiply by a negative number in the efforts to isolate this p-value, we must change the direction of our sign. So this guy here must be flipped over. We got to change its direction. So right now it's a greater than symbol. For our solution, after we divide by a negative number, it becomes a less than symbol. So the math remains the same, but we are changing the direction of this sign. Now, in the process of dividing, we do have two negative numbers that will divide, and we have the fraction 90 over 33. I didn't write the symbols because the two negative signs will cancel. I also noticed that both of these can be divided by 3, so let's go ahead and reduce the numerator and the denominator by 3. That gives us 30 over 11. It doesn't look like anything can divide both 30 and 11, so I think our fraction is reduced as far as it'll go. Remember, the instructions said not to report mixed numbers, so this improper fraction should be just fine. So I paused the video and entered my solution. P must be less than 30 over 11. We can press check, and the website says that's a good solution too. So I'm not going to continue with this to make the video any longer. I did just want to point out those two samples, and hopefully that helps you with this particular assignment. If you need more help, please send me a message, and I'll do what I can. Thanks.